So hens nights and stuff, mate, I used to like be completely in a nut and they'd draw me. But I started doing topless waiting first.
Yeah.
I did a couple of gigs in Victoria and stuff, and remember rocking up.
That's the natural progression.
That's the natural
topless
progression.
waiter,
Yeah, exactly.
nude,
to nude,
and then obviously prostitution.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm just glad you got clothes on.
Yeah, I know, no, exactly. So.
That's a good, when your next idea wants to come off, do a podcast.
Yeah.
2 people naked, right? I'm
Yeah.
pitching this right now, by the way. 2 people naked, and you both sit there and you just go, yeah, so when did you get into whatever industry you're in? And at the end, you just both turn them around. Drawing with Bevo.
Drawing.
Yes. Sketch comedy, you know? It's got 2 meetings.
Well, straight from the Rhino Room, it's another legend on Comedy Legends with Bevo, Jarryd Goundrey. Great to have you on the show, mate.
Thank you for having me. I love the power of media, because there's me, you, there's 2 techs over there with a beer.
Oh, hang on, there's an audience as well.
The studio audience didn't get the memo today, did they?
No.
We've just been talking smack for about 15 minutes about nothing. And then now we're like, the show's on. Hi, how are you?
It's very. I should have left my other stuff outside to the end.
Never live your life that way, Bevo. I don't want you to change at all.
You did mention life drawing, so I had to go there. So, but anyway, the show's about you, not about me today. So, but we better give a big plug to Pete Oldfield from the Southern Slugs. Does a wonderful job of organising over 35s footy events all around the world, really. So, and you met Pete the other day.
Yeah, he's insane. He's absolutely crazy. I love him. He told me a really funny story because he's got a birth defect from birth. He's got like a really funny little hand. And I always like to bring it up. And I'm like, I love your hand, because he smokes ciggies and it's always kind of like really fun. And he told me a really funny story. He's like, yeah, when I play, it's caused me a lot of trouble because when I play footy and I get knocked out, they always say, how many fingers am I holding up? And he's only got like 4.8 or something. I don't know, in different orders. He's a really great guy. For him to like organise essentially charity events in all manner of things across the city, across the pandemic as well.
Yeah.
And kind of pull them off is nothing short of, you know what showbiz is like.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's horrible, right?
Yes.
It's so hard. And for anyone to put the effort in and organise anything successfully and get it done, in my book, you're already a legend.
No, well said. So your show is going great, Guns. I read a review about it in the Tizer the other day. They said incoming is, I believe they gave you 4.5 stars. So.
They actually gave me, I'll correct you there, they gave me 3.5 stars.
Did they?
And the lady,
I was trying to talk you up.
The lady who did it, she acknowledged that. She goes, I didn't really like it, but the audience was enthralled, right? She said some of his more risque material had me shifting in my seat, but the audience was going nuts, which they were, because like some of it's a bit loose.
Are you allowed to sort of share a bit about it?
Well, essentially, so the show is about, I used to be in the military. So I was in the army as an infantry soldier. So I'm 35, I was in from 18 to 25. I've come, and this is my first sort of, my first full-length show. And I've decided to dedicate a lot of it towards that. And so there's a lot of stories about going through basic training, serving overseas in sort of East Timor with the United Nations, all that sort of stuff. There's some confronting things in there. And there's a soldier's look on it. I think what Australian soldiers are particularly known for as well is what's something called gallows humour. So there's in Gallipoli, there's accounts of like, at one stage they used to bury their dead just in the trenches, and there was a British officer's hand that was just sort of sticking out of these trenches at one stage, and everyone was like pretty somber about it. But all the Australian, New Zealanders used to come past and go, "G'day, sir, how are you? Cucumber sandwich." And like that was like, they were known for this sort of way of dealing with trauma and this way of dealing with something really terrible with humour, which is what I like to bring into the show, and sort of look at some things from an angle of like, it's all okay. You know, the whole world's okay if you have a laugh. That's what I think. Like, there's some terrible things happening at all times.
Yeah.
Just pull the piss out of it.
Yeah. It's great.
Like, what are you going to do? You're not actually fixing anything.
Yeah.
Like, we can't fix anything. You know, like we can't go to Ukraine and fix that, but we can have a giggle. That's what I like. So 3.5 stars.
I'll try.
She acknowledged. She said, "This is what it said. The audience was enthralled, and some woman left saying it was the best comedian I've seen all Fringe." And so if you get 3.5 stars from someone that didn't like it, means it's actually probably like.
Wasn't your mum in the audience say, was it, mate? Or
I don't think so.
Sorry, I should leave the comment to you. No,
Bevo, everyone. He's here all day.
It's quite a bizarre story, though. You mentioned 7 years in the military, but it actually happened by accident, which I honestly can't believe that that's the case. What actually, tell us all about it.
I was not in the army, and then I was. It's like I went to the city of Perth to meet my mum for lunch, meet Jennifer for lunch. And she sent me a message saying I'm going to be an hour late. And I was standing in front of the Army Recruitment Centre. And I just walked in because I was like, I don't know if anyone's been in the city of Perth, but you can't kill an hour there. Like, you need to do something about it. So I walked in and this guy's like, do you want to watch a movie? It goes for 45 minutes. I was like, yes, let's do this. And they put on this movie that's amazing. You know, like it's like the music's like, dun 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 dun, and it's like helicopters and like people like going down the side of buildings, and then everyone's like mopping the floor and having fun, and then like they're playing footy and it's great. And geez, that's a lie. It's not like that at all. And I was like, wow, this looks great. And they're like, we'll pay you lots of money, you get to see the world. You know, this guy actually like looked over his shoulder and like leant into me, and he was like, do you know how many girls you'll get if you're in the army? And I was like, where do I sign? I was like, he's like, you got to sign up for 4 years. I was like, can I sign up for 10? Like this, boy, this sounds like a great deal. Like, can I, like literally 4 weeks later, I was in a shower with 87 other blokes. Like, I was like, he got me. Fucking got me, that guy. And I went to lunch with my mum an hour later, and I had all these forms and stuff. I was like, yeah, it sounds good. And like, they're playing footy and it's lovely. And I get to the thing, and she was like, oh no, what have you done? She cried on the spot. And I was like, oh no. And 18, I just didn't know what to do. I thought I had something bigger for me, but I didn't know what that was. You know, when you're younger and you just don't know what anything is. I knew I could do something bigger than what I was doing, and it just seemed like a quick fix. But they play mind games on you until like we went halfway through our basic training. They said you can go to the pub and you can have 2 beers. This is the first time we could drink the whole time. And we're like, and they said, we're knocking off for the night. You just have 2 beers and go home. And we were all men and young, and we had about 8. And then we were like, we're singing songs, and we get back to the barracks, and they're all there. And they're like, oh, you did that thing that everyone's done before you. You got too carried away. And they just made us stand in a line, and they go, you can all go to bed when someone pisses themselves. And we're like, all right. So an hour and 45 minutes later, someone goes, I'm going to piss my pants. And we go, do it. And he pisses himself, and I've never seen, and they go, all right, you can go to bed. And the next day we were like, there was like really honest conversations of like, mate, thanks for pissing your pants. I was like pretty close. And it was like that sort of that's crazy stuff, right?
That's insane. Yeah.
And another time, so they come up to us one time and they put all these porn mags on the floor, and they're like, we found a stash of porn mags hid behind, like you pull a tile off the toilet and there's these porn mags in there. And they're like, someone needs to own up about who stashed the porn mags in there. And then they just leave us for an hour, and like things turn from being like, who did it? Own up who's got the porn mags, to then people being like, I'm going to take the rap because then we can just move on. So then someone's like, they're my porn mags. And then they came out and they're like, no, they're not. We hid them there. Don't ever lie to us ever again. And then we're out doing push-ups in the mud and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, you quickly become this cohesive unit where you have to be like, no, we trust each other down to the end. You can't.
Because what were you actually doing in the army for all those 7 years?
I was infantry soldier. So that's just blowing stuff up. 14 weapon systems.
Wow.
I fired so many rocket launchers, I got bored. It's interesting that when you think of like battle or war, like we trained for this, and it's all we ever did every day. And we really wanted to go overseas. You know, I joined, post September 11, I joined 2006, and this was very sort of Iraq, Afghanistan heavy deployment. And we all wanted to go. There wasn't anyone that I served with that didn't want to go over there.
Wow.
Because it was like, I don't know, imagine going to footy training every day of the week but never getting a game.
Yeah.
That was the mentality of everyone in, and everyone wanted to do it. And I never went to Afghanistan, and in a way, that's kind of the best thing that never happened to me.
how can someone who's gone from such a confronting situation, you mentioned before you've lost friends, and again, condolences to you for that, but how you go from being someone that's so serious, doing life-threatening sort of stuff, to being a comedian with making people laugh? Was it something you've always been interested in? Did you do it in the military?
I reckon my first gig was in the army, because when we were in that basic training situation, we had this drill instructor, and every time he'd yell, his voice would break. He'd be like, "Ah." And so we'd be on the drill square.
The guy from The Simpsons?
Exactly, right? We'd be on the drill square, and he's like, "Left," and we're like, and he's like, "Right," we're like, right. And then one day, they weren't around, so I thought it'd be a wicked idea to form everyone up and just kind of be like, and it was killing. It was the best gig I've ever had, until everyone kind of fell silent, and then that guy was right behind me.
Oh no.
And everyone was just like, oh. And as soon as I just went, nah, my life's bad for a bit. I was like, this is going to be a bad time. And I was just doing the most rewarding push-ups I've ever done. And then I got into the mess where you eat everything up that night. And I sort of came in wet and covered in mud. And that story had spread through the whole base in an instant. And I was a champion. I was just like, and all this food, and then everyone was just like, yes, it was metaphorically carried on their shoulders if I could, but they were like, don't look at him, he's just a
rat bag.
It's an absolute rat bag. Because I think in every sort of army unit, then there's unofficial roles, and I definitely took on the larrikin role every now and then, had a lot of impressions, had a lot of kind of stories and all this sort of stuff. And when you sleep in a puddle for 3 days and your mate next to you, you're just there looking at kind of nothing on an exercise in the middle of Queensland, and it's just pissed down with rain. All you want to talk about with it, you just need to keep each other going.
Yeah.
And I've had the most beautiful conversations with people when they're really vulnerable, but also some of the most funniest as well. Did a sleep deprivation. Yeah.
Boom.
He's good.
Yeah.
That's why he's the host. They didn't make us. We had to stay awake for 3 days. So at night they'd just throw flares and stuff at us that would keep us awake, and we just dug a trench the whole time. And you go to a point where you're crazy, you lose your mind a little bit. And I was sitting there with this guy that's huge, just got tattoos everywhere. He's a scary guy at the pub, but he was exhausted, and we were both just sitting there kind of back to back. And he's like, that cloud looks like a turtle. And I'm like, more of a tortoise. And then we just went, and then just stayed up for another day. It's that sort of stuff. At the end of the human sort of condition, at the end of the spectrum of what you can achieve, it's amazing. That's why I think comedy is so cool, because you can do anything in the world. I've seen people say, I can't do something 1,000 times, and then they achieve it.
Yeah.
You can just do anything in life. The army also generally attracts heaps of weirdos too. What I like about comedy and what I like about the military is you just grab anyone from everywhere. They just put them together, and it's just you from the city with some cattle farmer from the middle of Australia to some other guy that shouldn't even be. I was in the same platoon as a guy who had Tourette's. Now, he hid his Tourette's during the recruitment process. He was just and they were like, whatever. And then he got in, and then sort of a couple of years in, people are like, his name was Dingo. They're like, Dingo's got Tourette's. And everyone's like, well, he's in now. And then he would just march along and we thought it was the funniest thing ever. When we went overseas to East Timor, he took on the bird sounds of there was roosters and stuff everywhere. So he'd be like, cock-a-doodle-doo, and just until someone finally figured out, they're like, who let this guy in? And then he got a big payout, and they're like, sorry for your time. He was just in the army for a little bit. He was getting absolutely face ripped by some officer at one stage, and he was in his face, and we could see him. He was like, and we're like, oh no, he needs to have a tick, he's gonna blow. And this guy's going Dingo, you bloody, and just screaming at him for some reason. And this guy's this far away from his face. And then all that he could do to let go of this Tourette's outburst that he needed to do just goes. like in this officer's face. And the guy just goes, it just walked off. And then that was it. And we were just like, how the hell did you get away with that? And he was just like, and it just attracts some crazy thing. We had to do like these ambushes where you have to be really like quiet, and then you set up sort of like bombs, and you got to shoot and all that sort of stuff. And you got to lay there for like 2 hours at night. And he would like chew on his hat like, so he wouldn't have like an outburst.
You do that so well.
He'd be like, because we'd sit next to him, we're like, oh, right. And then like we'd set the ambush off, and we'd like blow up these like claymore mines, and like it was just cool, right? Proper like explosion. Then he'd just be like, just shooting stuff everywhere.
And where was your first gig in comedy? Like you mentioned it before. Like where did you sort of start making that break?
They did an open mic comedy. A couple of I used to work as a chef after I got out. I decided to become a chef because army chef, comedian. I just like shit jobs, and my pay's been going just down. So, but then I'm going to go life drawing, and I'm going to go up on it.
Just lots of different careers. I love it.
Yeah. And a couple of doors down from where I worked was an open mic, and it was on a Tuesday. And as my chef cycle went, that was kind of the beginning of my week off. So we would go down and drink beers, and it was one of those open mics where anyone could get up. And I once saw a guy dressed as a banana, eating a banana. And then as he ate the banana, he pretended that it was hurting him. Like that was his entire sort of 5-minute act. And everyone just sat there and went, and then he goes, thank you, and left. Like it was that level of open mic comedy. And it was glorious. We used to go, and people used to go there and watch it just for the train wrecks.
Tourette's guy could have even done better than that.
It didn't go up. He's like, hey, you going? Oh, good. And then I sat there for like a month, and I was like, I can do this. I think I can do this because I'm pretty funny at work or whatever. And I said, all right. So then I picked a date, and like everyone I worked with came, and I wrote my little name down, and I went up there, and I just bombed. Like, it just didn't work, right? And I bombed in front of everyone I worked with, which means I bombed for a week. Because the next time I went back to work, they're like, how's your comedy career going? And I'm just like, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to go back the next week. So the next week I signed up again.
That's dedication.
Bombed again. And I said, all right, I'm going to go back the third week. And if this doesn't work, then I've done it. I've given it a crack. You can't say I haven't done it. And I went up there, and it went all right. And I went, all right. So I went back every for a year.
And what was your material for that particular show?
No idea. It was just stuff. Like I'd say like, oh, my mum used to say this, and it was just weird. Like I didn't know there was bits. Like in comedy, you obviously have bits and you have jokes. And then after that first gig, I was talking to a couple of comedians, and they were like, oh, this bit really worked. I was like, oh, okay, cool, bits. What are they? And I was like, I got to go get some jokes. Apparently this is quite crucial to the whole process. And then once I got the itch, there's just nothing like it. You know, like having sex is great and doing drugs is wicked. But once you start doing comedy and there's nothing like it. It's just, you don't need anything else. You just kind of bungee jump every day. It was so good for me. It made me happy. It made me truly like happy. I've just decided that I'm not waiting around for anything ever again.
It's great attitude.
You just have to, like, otherwise what's the point? I transitioned into doing acting, and I was like, oh, like this is, because actors are weird.
Yeah.
They're not cool
people.
Comedians know their life is bad, and they know they're in an industry that sucks. But actors they're all like, so I do like corporate acting. So if you need a piece of machinery, you know, when you do any job and they're like, hey, watch this video about what not to do.
Yeah.
Like I'm in them.
That's brilliant.
So my first gig was a piece of medical equipment where there's a doctor being like, and then you do this, and then you put that in, and make sure this is turned on. And I'm the patient who's unconscious.
That's
so
hilarious.
I sat in a bed.
I think we need to share some of this on social media.
And then I had and there was another like person there like patting me that was like my mum, who was definitely a different ethnicity. I'm like, geez, Dad got around, you know. And that just paid the bills. I did anything. I even got to the point where I looked up like human studies. They're like, you can go to a hospital for like 2 weeks and they just take your blood pressure.
I've done that before. Yeah,
that doesn't surprise me. I feel like
Such good money.
they send me emails every time. I want to do it now for a month just to write a comedy show.
Yeah.
Just as a human guinea, just wires out of your
Do
head.
it.
Just like,
My mates give me so much cut. They're like, one day you're going to look like the Elephant Man. But it's like, well, I made $2,000. It was so worth it. So
because I still get the emails and I'm like, oh, you know, my girlfriend at the moment's like, you're not a human guinea pig. And I'm like, but good material. Like,
Absolutely.
she's like, do you only care about material? I'm like, yeah, kind of. The money. My acting agent said to me, he goes, do you know what I like about you, Jarryd? I'm like, what? He goes, you look like a lot of people. I'm like, great. He goes, I know I can put you there. You've been in the army. You rock up on time. He goes, you're punctual. You have a good time. You don't complain. You're just really good. And
Nice.
You look like a lot of people.
There you go.
Yeah, it's good to be plain.
Well, before we let you go, Jarryd Goundrey, this has been an absolute blast. Feels like we've known each other for 20 years. It's been that much fun. But we could talk all day. But your show incoming. You're finishing up on the Adelaide Fringe this weekend. Where to from here?
Week off. Need that. Rest, recuperate. Then 2 weeks at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. Or you can find all my stuff. Instagram's the main one, at Jarryd Goundrey. And then everywhere. I'm going all over Australia. I'm going to go to New Zealand later in the year. I'm just going to do it all.
Sounds brilliant, mate. Well, look forward to next time you're back in Adelaide and chatting again. And
thanks for having me. Big shout out to the two hooligans on the equipment.
Yeah, most
You're the real show.
Thanks so much for coming on, mate.
My pleasure.